Welcome everyone to the third of 4 campaign parts. We are doing Triple H stages now, 71 to 77. But beforehand, if you've not seen a campaign guide or you've seen the ones previously, I have a new layout now. So as you can see, my campaign spreadsheet is going to be on your screen at all times, meaning that you are able to see the stats that I'm looking at, the stats that I have to beat, and I'll be explaining how we are going to get some stats. Some matches will be shown as 2 stars. That's because of super moves and issues like that. And equally, we're not allowed to use Batista. However, Batista, since it's left arrows, has no option of being used. There may be some elements of cards that either do not exist anymore, they can't get currently, or equally cards that may be a little bit paid to win and/or equipment, stuff like that. But I will say the sort of consequence for it and how to do alternatives to it. So let's get on with stage 77. 71, sorry, is our first stage, not 77. 71. 77 is our last one. So 71, we have 2 male tags in the male department and a female solo match at 790k. Now, being realistic, 790k is very brutal to get. You can actually do it, and I have done it before. It's mainly these toughness matches or the quiz matches. So, of course, we do have a new Joe Hendry coming out today as of launch. So, but we will be using Joe Hendry in this one just to basically try and help us get to the high enough stats required. Now, it is only, I think, it's only just 1.1 mil, so it's around 560 on 2 cards. So meaning that these 2 will be more than fine, and then it's just our toughness matches. So for with Pagano, we're going to be using a toughness equipment, and then but for Kofi, we're going to be using Logan's drone, and we are also going to be using the support cards as well. You can win the third match, however, with Io Sky, which is going to be a card of interest. You might want to get Io Sky. And for people in momentum matches, because I forgot to put people in momentum, do bear with me. I'm going to be putting in, for our left arrows anyway, I'm going to be putting in Pagano, Io, Kofi will be of good use, and also potential and possibly Trish. That may change though to Razor. But if we go back to our campaign, here is everything with all boosted stats, now with momentum that have momentum on them anyway. So as you can see, the male match should be, the 2 males should be more than fine. And then of course the EO will be your super move match. So I'm just going to show it now really quickly. Of course, you could use Stephanie McMahon that you got free. Equally though, however, there is a Pro Match Marisa that is much better anyway in terms of stats. So there is the Pagano and Kofi match. Very easy there. Almost 600k on both. But of course you can use a support. Qatar would also work with that setup. And then the 2 males here. There we go. It's a close match, but it's still a very much a comfortable win, mainly because of Razor Ramon's charisma being 530. And then plus the additional margin. And then we're going to use EO. However, as you can see, the Qatar will be used. That will be your super move match. I do not recommend challenging that on its own. Just do focus on the first 2. Much easier matches, much lower stats to get to. It's just 2 cards that you have to do it on, of course. And I'm just going to show the equipments. So this was what we used on Pagano. Not the best toughness equipment, but it will do. On Razor, we have this. Last time is now Towel. Kofi, we are using Logan's drone, but it basically just works as knee pads because the 114k is not in use. And then on Joe Hendry, we have this custom t-shirt. Didn't actually get taken off. There we go. So now let's move on to 72. So this has a this one's actually not too bad. It's actually quite easy. to my memory anyway. It's relatively straightforward. It's the only concerns will be the toughness matches. However, we do have a lot of things that we can work around with this. So first of all, we're going to be using Kofi in that speed match. Actually, not the speed match, sorry. We're going to be using Pagano in that speed match. It's my bad there. So, Pagano, 611. We need to get to 660, which is the sort of why we have that charisma, that speed manager, sorry. Then Kof, we're actually going to be using not that. So not that. Going to be using this equipment. 500k, however. Oh god, no, we're not. If you have Krampus, this is a lot easier. But I do not. I got the bug in Naughty Nights because you want to see my view on Naughty Nights. It is on the channel if you do want to have a look. See what I thought about it. I'll tell you now, it was not very positive. So just bear that in mind. So yeah, we're just going to be using Logan's drone again on Kof because we are in trouble otherwise. Because we do need to hit that, well, them two stats equally, though that you would lose anyway. So it makes no difference to it. So we will have to super move. Well, you would have to super move. Now for this one, I'm going to, well, I'm going to do my toughness support on Kofi's match. Simply because we do not want to run the risk of losing because of toughness equipment of like proc if you got proc. So that's why I'm saying use it on the first match. Logan Pagano there beat Roman Reigns, and then this would be your super move match. We may actually be able to win it without. However, no, definitely not. We would need a toughness manager, but then Pagano would lose. Of course, if you do have a static speed equipment, should be alright. But yeah, that is quite straightforward. It's just this female match, or equally Kofi's match. You can use your super move on. Pagano I don't really recommend. I mean, unless you do not have Pagano, he's 3,000 backstage tokens. Assuming you got him free. If you didn't, then super move the speed match and then work with the toughness support, so Maxime. But anyway, this is Pagano's speed equipment. This is Kofi's equipment, the drone again, but again it's just knee pads. They get the same value. On EO, we got this toughness equipment. Unfortunately, we don't get all toughness on this one because it's super expensive. But there it is. Great detach. Alright. And that is 72 done. That's 73. Annoying stage. An alright stage actually. Again, you do have a 764k, and that's what you're going to see with this stages, is a lot of 700k stats. So, it's also a speed match as well, which is brutal. So, but equally, we can do this one. Of course, this is why we need Boom EO. Without EO, this is going to be a huge struggle. Equally, you could also use the Liv Morgan if you do have her. If you do not, then that is very unlucky. But we are going to be using Pagano again in Charisma. And Warrior in Charisma. And we are just going to see the stats again. Of course, on your screen you can see it all times. I do have to flick every now and again. So it's a 675 with Pagano. So we will need to use. We will either need a prop or but we are going to be using EO's. We're going to be using a support on EO's match rather than Pagano's match. Equally, we have also put toughness in Charisma anyway, because we don't really want to use the Battle Pass Rock. Try and make it as make it as much free-to-play friendly as we possibly can. But of course, 764 on EO is quite mean. Those do bear that in mind. But hopefully these two can win with no issues. It's roughly 1.2 mil, and yeah, that's fine. So as you'll be able to see what the difference is. Just here, of course, we do have a level coming up which is extremely difficult. So yeah, this is the match that I'm going to say is a super move match. Just here. Of course, you could also super move the female match and swap the equipment of EO over to Kofi and then support on Kofi's match. Oh god, no we're not. Right, no, I need to change plan. Okay, bear with me, that's a win. It's just, the charisma match is too weak, but this is why you could also super move the third match to fix this issue. Of course, if you do have good enough charisma equipment, you can do that charisma match, but I do not. So we're going to put in Steph instead, so then EO would now lose, but we're also going to give Kofi some speed equipment as well. And then now he should be able to win his match, hopefully. I'm just going to check it. Although it is 6 and 5, so I'm not too sure. But equally, could actually increase his stat a little bit. Hopefully it can increase his stat. It says it's better. 557, I think it's basically the same. So, meaning that... actually, no, why are we using Kofi? I can just use Pagano. Actually, no, swap. No, change the plan. Change your plans. Super move the... I'm going to show it with the charisma match being super moved. Change that plan quickly, because I'm just going to use Pagano instead. There is Pagano. And then speed. Everything's up in speed. The only concern will be EO's. EO is now very low in speed. Because Kofi... not Kofi. No one actually needs to lose their equipment. EO just needs to gain hers back. But yeah, this one, not the easiest level in the world. Do apologise about the fact that took me so long. So yeah, if Pagano was to proc here, that would be a easy win. But equally, a static pro Heenan would be enough for that. So just bear that in mind. This is your super move match. Of course, remember we did not have static Heenan pro because Supercard don't want to give me any. And then of course the EO with that very easy win there. So yeah, just be aware a static pro Heenan with for that Pagano match would have been all good. You just got to be wary basically of any issues. But yeah, I know it says 1 star, but again, this just requires a Heenan static pro. As I said before, this match is actually very close. And equally, if we could use Pagano, alternatively, so, there is actually Joe Hendrick coming out today, so again, that could be used there. And then, of course, EO Sky wins that other match. Just going to, I would show the equipment, but there is the boots, which you've seen before. Go through it quite quickly. So we've got a lot of explaining to do, especially for one of the stages, K75. Okay, 74. Now, 74 is a pound speed. Again, big concern here because, well, I did not have Krampus. That's concern number 1. Concern number 2 is that table match. But that is going to be your super move match. So we are more than good without it. So we're going to be using these... I'm just going to check that it was a power match. It was definitely a power match, meaning that it's 710. Yep, 710. Well, 700, of course. So we'll be more than fine here. Of course, you can also use a table if you wanted to. But in this one, we are not going to be able to do much with it. Well, without showing it sort of payish. Simply because of Joe Hendry's guitar, which you cannot get no more. So just put that in mind. But we do have that 600k on a EO, because Bliss had a 583. Pagano wins on his own. However, if you need to use a table, use a table. And then this match is your super move match. Just be wary. You may need some power equipment with it. But again, it's only 657s. Which is, especially when your start cards are about 500, pushing 900, should be alright without it. So yeah, just super move on that third match. Of course, just showing the equipment again. Of course, a static power equipment would be much better than this. However, they can be difficult to obtain. Of course, equally, adventure, normal alpha pads will get you the same results. Of course, with Joe Hendry, it'd be a bit different. And then for EO. Again, just normal boots, not maxed out, very close to maxed out though. But I'm not spending any more credits to try and get that maxed out. Now it's the difficult one. Now this is the one that took me ages to do. Because I didn't think I could do it. And this is where you needed Trish or Liv, these special editions. Now, the reason I say needed is because of a... because it is quite the difficult stage. So we will actually put Trish and Momentum in a minute, but we are just going to do the setup, which is Pagano and Kofi Kingston. Now remember that Joe Hendry card will help a load with this. Of course, a ladder will also be of big use. Just going to put the Trish in Momentum. Oh god, she's already in Momentum. Okay, I need to, oh yeah, it's a proc. Trish wins with a proc, but if you have a static t-shirt, you don't need it to proc. 75. Okay. Okay. And it's an F1 as well. But yeah, you will just need it to proc. If she procs, fabulous. If not, then it's what it is. But yeah, as you can see, that 745k on that male charisma match, that is very difficult. Now, if Trish procs, great. If not, it's fine. She didn't. Can't say I'm surprised. Of course, Liv also is an option. Well, was an option anyway. Can't get her anymore. So just be wary of that. So this will be my super move match here with using Warrior against Warrior, but he loses because we're not using super moves in this. Of course, Trish didn't proc, so that's why it says 2-0. And then this is your male match. Whew. And both of them procs anyway. But they would have won regardless. Of course, if either of them procs would have solidified it for guarantee. I know it only says 1 star, but again, Trish didn't proc, so do better man. Because you do have a Charisma Manager Pro Maurice and a Universe Static Pro. You can do that male match of this 745. You can do it equally. Joe Hendry is releasing today as well, so you can use him, assuming you can get him for free. But that is stage 75 done. Of course, just the equipment you would have seen a lot before. Of course, Trish just needed to proc. But again, she didn't have a Charisma Manager, so she wouldn't need to proc if you do have the Charisma match sorted. 76. Now, this is another one where it's kind of forcing your hand on a super move. 800k, we're not facing that. So, we need to win a female toughness match at 571 and a male charisma match at almost 1.3 million. So, the toughness match is fairly straightforward. It is an EOS guy. with 574 there, which is more than good. Well, just about good. And then for Pagano, we're going to be using a towel. Of course, remember Joe Hendry SC could be used here if you can manage to get him. Of course, but current recording is not out yet. And when you see this, he's most likely out. Unless you watch it very late, they won't be out. But yeah, just bear that in mind. I'm just going to make sure that it wasn't speed match. No, it was definitely 2 charisma matches. So for this one, Kofi Kingston would be our super move of choice, basically. He would be the one we'd be using to super move with. Of course, against that Big John Studd at 800k charisma. Equally, though, you could literally use anyone. Joe Hendry is another option. There's Io Sky, who wins against Jay Cargill. She also prot, so with a champ boost. And that right there should be this match done. Yep, there we go. Nice and easy there, of course. Super move on that first match. Make sure, though, you can win the other 2 without any issues. Of course, you don't want to waste super moves. That's definitely not the best when you waste them. So, there we go. That is that match finished. Finito. Complete. Okay, and just to show equipment, of course, this is just a t-shirt, basically, because the John Cena thing did not go through, because it's not John Cena, it is Pagano. Someone very different. Razor Ramon here for the t-shirt again. Io Sky with this toughness equipment. Of course, you could also use Logan Paul's drone, and it's more convincing. Or equally, static knee pads. And now we have hit the final stage. Stage 77. Which is not as difficult as people think it is. I think it's one of them sort of levels in which it's very hit and miss. So I'm going to be using a Maxime Pro Manager here. Simply, however, though, we may need Zelina here, but it just depends, really. 630. Okay, it's not enough, but we do have a support in hand, should we need to use it. So we're going to be using Kofi Kingston. Here, we're just going to put Logan's drone on him just to sort of support him. And then Pagano will also get some toughness as well. Where is it? It is here, which is perfect. There we go. Just over 500, so that should definitely be enough. It'll be over 1.2 mil, which is more than good. Of course, we do have a table that we can also use, or equally, for example, in this match, we're going to be using a roll case. So we're using a Maxime Manager. So this is the tap match, first of all, Pagano and Kofi Kingston against Razor there and Sean, which are more than good. And then we're going to be using a roll case. The table's better though, it's more efficient, but there we go, 609k, knocks it down, which is really good. And then this is your super move match, so Razor, for example, could be used here as your super move at 694, not ideal. So we are super moving it. Okay, and that is everything. So, in the next part, we will be talking about 78 to 84. We'll actually be able to complete 84. Sadly, without Battle Pass, because I do not have a Charisma Manager, but I'll talk about it a lot. Of course, next up is this Roman Reigns, and that is just something to look forward. That's the next part, if you are struggling with it. Okay, so thank you very much for watching this part, and I will see you for the next one. Goodbye.